thanks again to Capital Blend. Yes, I am really thrilled to be sharing the stage with so many amazing women, and despite how much work we still have to do, I am reminded how far we have come since our foremothers' first March for Equality. Even though my passion is comedy, I like to eat, so I have a day job. And I work as an administrator, and having worked in the construction industry for over 24 years, I can assure you, women have made great strides in business. Absolutely. Yeah, it's been days since I've had someone ask me to be a sweetheart and get a man on the phone. So keep fighting the fight. Okay, I'm thrilled to present our next speaker, but I'm going to need help with this mic because it's not staying up. Tech people. Just one moment. There we go. Thank you. All right. All right, you ready? All right, put your hands together and help me welcome, I hope I'm saying this right, Shetra Punjabi, who's the Vice President of the National Organization for Women. Yes.
Thank you, Emmy. I'm Shetra Punjabi, Vice President, Membership of the National Organization for Women, and I am so pleased to be here today. And this is a wonderful turnout, and thank you all for being here today. You being here today says to our elected officials, it makes a statement. It says, we're not going to rest until we have equality. We're here to show them that we're going to hold them accountable. If they don't vote for an ERA, we are not going to support them. So thank you for being here, and thank you for showing your support. So as some of you might know, I'm an immigrant to the United States. And my first introduction to the ERA was with my local NOW chapter. But it wasn't until I started working at the Sewell Belmont House and Museum that I got really familiar with the history and the campaign for the ERA. As an employee there, I would often give tours of the museum, and, I would talk people through what Alice Paul and the National Woman's Party did to fight for the right to vote for women. And then eventually I'd get to the part of my tour where I talked to them about Alice Paul's role in drafting the ERA in 1923 and the subsequent campaign for the ERA. And then I got to the point where I would say, did you know the ERA actually stopped short of being ratified in 1982? And I would get blank looks from people. There were even some incredulous looks from people. In fact, a lot of people, especially the women, would respond in surprise and say, but I thought we passed it. Or, what do you mean we don't have an Equal Rights Amendment? It was just unimaginable to the folks on my tour that ensuring equality for men and women wasn't written into the Constitution, and that the efforts to do just that had been unsuccessful. I wanted to share this story because it's important to remember that equality under the law is a basic right that we expect as citizens and residents of this country. From polls as late as 2012, they show that 96% of Americans believe that women and men should have equal rights affirmed under the Constitution. And we know that we gain a lot with an ERA. It would be an explicit guarantee that all the rights the Constitution protects would be held equally for all citizens without regard to sex. Now, it's been argued that the 14th Amendment, the Equal Protection Clause does just that, but many people don't know that the 14th Amendment has only been applied to sex discrimination since 1971, and that legal scholars, including Supreme Court Justice, our friend, Antonin Scalia, have said that their reading of the Constitution, and his reading of the Constitution, that it does not explicitly prohibit sex discrimination. The idea that equality for women under the law is open to interpretation is simply not good enough. With an ERA, we guarantee a clearer and stricter judicial standard when it comes to the cases regarding sex discrimination. And in fact, a passage of the ERA would greatly enhance sex discrimination law, which provides equality to women and men. It's also important to remember that the ERA's passage would have a real and direct impact on women's lives. You know, this is especially true when we're talking about pay equity. The fact that we're still not making equal to our male peers today in 2014 isn't good enough. It isn't good enough. Pay equity would allow us to close the gender wage gap and raise women and their families into better standards of living. And it's especially true for women of color who often don't even make that 77 cents number that we hear, you know, in the media all the time. They make less. And again, it's not good enough. We need to do better, and we need to demand more of our elected officials to make that a reality for the women of the United States. I think we were all disappointed when we saw what the Supreme Court did with the Hobby Lobby case. And the fact is that we have to argue as women that we should have access to basic health care, like birth control, that it should be a right for us. That is not good enough. We can't have this happen where we have to argue that as women we are equal to men in order to get basic health insurance, basic health care, and access to the reproductive rights that we deserve. We cannot see this happen, and an equal rights amendment can help us fix those measures and get us exactly what we need: equality under the law. One of the things that we've seen in states that have a state ERA is that it's had a positive impact on ensuring equality under the law for men and women. But it shouldn't matter where you live in our country. It should be law across the land, across the United States, and all of the territories that it is responsible for. We need to guarantee the ERA. We need to write the ERA into our Constitution and do what Alice Paul initially set out to do in 1923 when she first drafted it. Equal justice under the law for everyone. Thank you.